All right, we're going to be in Daniel chapter 7 as soon as this thing goes live, and I think it did. Daniel chapter 7. Now, Daniel chapter 7, I'm telling you, I've enjoyed this chapter about as much as I have any other, and you'll see why here in just a minute. Now, let me just do this by just introduction. If you'll look there on your screen, if you're watching at home, you'll see this is just to get us up to speed because I don't think we didn't do Daniel last week. So chapter number 1 is where Daniel was deported from Israel over to Babylon, went into captivity as a teenage boy. And then chapter number 2 was Nebuchadnezzar's dream. This thing, the head of gold, the Medes and the Persians, the silver, and then the brass, and then the 2 legs of iron, and then the 10 toes mixed iron mixed with clay. That is the vision in chapter number 2 that Nebuchadnezzar had. That was pictured the times of the Gentiles. Babylon, Medes and the Persians, the Greeks, the Roman Empire split. That's why it's 2 legs. Roman Empire split, Eastern, Western, and then those 10 toes of Daniel. And then in chapter number 3, the famous story, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, would not bend, would not bow, would not burn, and the whole 9 yards. And then chapter number 4, Nebuchadnezzar had another dream, his pride. And he was lifted up in pride. He went out on his balcony, looked at Babylon, how great it was, and really got puffed up. And you remember what God did to him, turned him into an animal, and he wandered out in the field for so long. And then chapter number 5, we dealt with the fall of Babylon. The fall of Babylon. And then the Medes and the Persians took over. That happened in chapter number 6. Daniel in the lion's den. Remember, they come and they said, hey, anybody bows or prays to anybody else, all that kind of stuff. And this happened chapter number 6. So, in chapter number 7, some of these other chapters, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream and all this kind of stuff. Well, in chapter 7, Daniel has a dream. And this dream consisted of 4 different beasts that we're going to talk about. And look at those for the next few minutes. I think it's about 28 verses here in chapter number 7, so hopefully we can get all of those in here in the next little bit. But here's something I want to say. These 4 beasts that Daniel dreamed in his dream, consisted of 4 beasts that's going to be instrumental in the 7-year tribulation period. I'll give you, for instance, Daniel chapter number, 2, where Nebuchadnezzar saw this thing here, this image, the head of gold and the breast of silver and so on and so forth. That was the first part of the Gentile rule. What Daniel dreams is the last part of the Gentile rule, consisted of these 4 beasts, these 10 toes, and what we're going to see in just a few minutes, what we're going to be doing. I didn't put all the verses on the screen for you because I want you to see it. We're going to go from Daniel 7 and we're going to go to Revelation, and we're going to go back and forth. So get ready for that here in just a second. Okay, now we've caught up. Now we're through introducing this. Chapter number 7, verse number 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Obviously, you say, well, that's hard to understand. It's not hard to understand. He's laying in his bed at night, and he has a dream. And visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And 4 great beasts come up from the sea, diverse one from another, different from one another. Let me comment just for a few minutes. A couple things I want to point out. In verse number 2, Daniel spake, I saw in my vision by night. Obviously, he's laying in his bed at night asleep. But this has a twofold meaning. The visions that he sees, the four beasts that he sees, obviously he's dreaming about it at night, but these four beasts come forth at night. Would y'all not agree that we are living in dark days? If you don't know that by today, you got your head stuck in the sand somewhere. And so these four beasts come up in the night, and we are living in the night, and we're waiting on the sun to come up. Do you understand? So that has a twofold meaning there. And behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. Four winds, north, south, east, and west, coming up all together. And when those winds come at the same time, you got a storm brewing. So what happens is right in here, you have number one, it's dark. Number two, you got a big storm brewing right in here. And the four winds from north, south, east, and west are coming upon the great sea. And this great sea always in the scripture has to do with the Mediterranean Sea. Now, I've got just a few maps here I want to show you. Now, I don't know how well you can see that, but there at home you'll have the Mediterranean Sea. This thing covers all of this area right here. And all of these countries, there's Turkey, there's the Boot, there's Rome, Italy, there's France, Spain. If you were to go, all right, the nation of Israel is right here. If you were to go straight up in the air, you're going to run into Russia. If you were right here in the nation of Israel and you go to the east, you've got China right over in here. These four beasts rise up out of this Mediterranean Sea. Every one of these countries, you're going to, when I say you're going to see them again, I'm not saying you personally are going to be here during the tribulation. I'm saying they're going to show up again in the tribulation. You've got Turkey. This is a little better map. There's Greece. Look here. That was part of Nebuchadnezzar's image. Greece, Alexander the Great. There he is, a beast that rises up out of the Mediterranean Sea. Rome, right there. Italy, boom. Does everybody see what we're talking about? Like I said, there's Israel. I don't know if you can see that very well or not. But here, it's off the map, but right over in here you've got Iran, Iraq. Of course, there's Syria. You see the very tip of Russia there. Anyway, when it talks about these 10 toes over in the book of Revelation coming out of the Great Sea, anytime the Bible talks about the Great Sea, we're talking about this area right over here. Over in Revelation, when it says, I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. We're talking about a beast, a country, a world power. Remember, I told you, Rome, when Jesus was born, Rome was in power. Rome, they had to get permission to crucify Jesus. It was a Roman crucifixion because they were in power. And then the Roman Empire fell about, 70 AD or so, where along in there. And this Roman Empire will be revived. It will come back to life in this 7-year tribulation period. And so this is why this correlates with Revelation a lot. Here's another. Let me show you this one. This one gives you, let's see. Where'd you go? There we go. There's Israel, Mediterranean Sea, all these countries here. But what it does show you, Russia, there's China right there. The bear of the bear of the north is Russia, and the king of the east, China. We're going to show you some stuff about that. Have you noticed here lately the talk about Russia and China. Russia interfering with our elections. China has bought so-and-so and, all this kind of thing. China's got Hunter Biden's laptop and, all this kind of stuff, You hear a lot of that talk. And people that don't study the Bible or go to church on a regular basis, they're like, okay, this, China, Russia, okay, that's just another day in the neighborhood. But when you start putting all this stuff together, we as Christian people, we start seeing this stuff. That's why we start looking up. You understand? Because we're seeing all this stuff is just like reading the newspapers. It's like the Bible's coming alive, if you will. All right, so let's look at verse 3. And 4 great beasts come up from the sea, diverse one from another, different from one another. Look at verse number 17. Verse number 17, the Bible will define itself. Look at verse 17. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Y'all see that? Which shall arise out of the earth. Now, I'm going to point something out to you, because if you were to read other commentaries, this is what you're going to find. What they do. This is what they do. This is my image. It's just laid down. That's the image that Nebuchadnezzar saw in Daniel chapter 2. The head was Babylon. The arms and the breast there was Medes and Persians made of silver. And then the loins here, the Greek Empire of brass. And the Roman Empire, the 2 legs of iron. And then the 10 toes down there and all of that kind of thing. You'll notice gold, precious metal, and the material gets weaker as it goes down. You see that? Starts with gold, ends up with iron and clay. This thing gets weaker and weaker and weaker as it comes close to the end of the time. Now, most commentaries or most preachers or most Bible teachers, prophecy or whatever that you may read after this, is the only reason I'm pointing this out, because if you hear somebody or read somebody else, you say, well, that ain't what Brother Jeremy said. So one of them guys are wrong. Now watch. They say that the lion that we're fixing to read about, these 4 beasts in Daniel 7, there's a lion, there's a bear, there's a leopard, and then there's a 4th beast. They say this lion matches up with Babylon. And then they say the bear matches up with the Medes and the Persians. And they say that this leopard, it's got wings and all this kind of stuff, it matches up with the Greek Empire and so on and so forth. But now remember what we read in verse 17. Read in verse 17. Now, let me see if y'all catch it, okay? Let me see if y'all catch it. Daniel is reading from here. He's in the Medes and the Persian Empire. He was in chapter 6. He was in the lion's den, right? Babylon has fallen. That great city has fallen, and somebody else has taken it over. Daniel's writing from right here, and he's writing about 4 kings, 4 images that shall arise. Well, it can't be this. Y'all see what I'm saying? Shall arise means shall in the future. It can't be him. He's already done for. Y'all see what I'm saying? So this, in my book, now y'all believe what you want to, but in my book this won't work, because that don't line up with the Babylon. Because when he was writing here, shall rise. So there you go. Now, let's look at these 4 beasts if we can for a second. We're back in Daniel 7, and let's look at verse number 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and as a man's heart was given to it. Now, obviously this image, you'll see it there, or an image there that appears. You got a lion that's got two eagle's wings there, and this beast rises up somewhere out of the Mediterranean Sea, stands upon his feet like a man. He's given a man's heart. Okay, now verse number 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear. And it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. Boy, that country, whoever this is, this bear country, is going to, he's got 3 ribs in his mouth, devouring much flesh. Well, you'll be surprised who that bear might be. Look at verse number 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like unto a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. Now this is different than an eagle. It's not eagle's wings. This is bird wings, I guess you could say. And I know an eagle is a bird. I understand that. But the first image was, it actually says eagle's wings. This is wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So obviously this is a definite, had a dominion, a kingdom. And then verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. This, I got to read verse 8 first with it. Notice this beast has 10 horns. Now, let me draw your attention to something. That 4th beast had 10 horns. This image has 10 toes. Very interesting. Now, look at verse number 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and mouth speaking great things. Now, you're thinking, man, this horns, and 3 of them, 10 of these, you got 10 horns, 3 of them, this little horn comes up and plucks up 3 of these, and now this little horn's got eyes like a man and a mouth like a man. Do you not see that little horn that comes up out of the 10 is the Antichrist? 3 of these others don't want to conform too well, so the Antichrist plucks them up. You understand? So this beast, this 4th beast, is a great picture of the Antichrist himself. Now, let me show you something. Hold your place in Daniel 7. Remember, I told you we're going to go to Revelation 13. Now, once I said Revelation 13, your antennas should have went up. 13 is the number of rebellion in the Bible. 13's always, you'll find something good, or not. You'll find something bad in 13. Now, we just read in Daniel 7 about this beast. Now, watch what happens in Revelation 13, verse 1. Are you there? And I stood upon the sand of the sea. Where? Mediterranean Sea. And saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. 10 horns, 10 horns, 10 toes. And upon his horns 10 crowns. So this must be 10 kings. And upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Well, I don't think, if they got the names of blasphemy on it, I don't think they're on the right side, the right team. Verse 2, and the beast which I saw was like unto a what? A leopard. And his feet were as the feet of a what? And his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Y'all see that? Matter of fact, verse 3 says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And so on and so forth. And there was given unto him a mouth. Speak. What did that little horn that come up? Had eyes like a man and a mouth? Look at verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. If he's speaking blasphemies, I think he's against God. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. You know how long 42 months is? 42 months is 3.5 years. The whole tribulation is 7 years. Half of that, this 42 months, is 3.5. Okay? 3.5 years. So this Antichrist in Revelation 13, there's a lot of different ways I can go. 13, did you realize Judas Iscariot? Y'all want to take a wild guess, just in your mind, how many letters Judas Iscariot has? 13. This Antichrist, this image, is made up of a lion, bear, leopard, right? A leopard. You ever notice a leopard? A leopard has a yellow body, a white belly, and black spots. Shem, Ham, Japheth. It's a melting pot of all nations. Y'all not ready? Y'all not ready. Black spots. You ever notice a black spots on a leopard? Looks like 2 lips. Now that may not look like 2 lips, but I'm just telling you, the spots on a leopard looks like 2 lips. You with me? Judas Iscariot, 13 letters, betrayed Jesus with a leopard, spots. This lion, oh man, it's just all over the place. All over. Now let's go back to Daniel chapter 7, and let's look at some other things here before we get tied up. Let me just show you a couple of things, if I can. Has anybody ever seen England's mascot or England's, whatever you call it? This is on their coat of arms, actually, is a lion. It's Great Britain. Have I ever seen that? A Great Britain lion. United States, eagle's wings. Isn't that odd? That is odd, ain't it? The second beast was likened to a bear. The coat of arms for Russia. The bear. Here's a stamp from Russia. The Bear of the North. Russia has infiltrated or, Russian collusion. How many times y'all heard that? Russian collusion. Russian collusion. In 2016, Russia, China, and everybody and their brother infiltrated our elections. In 2020, we've got honest and forthcoming elections. Nobody has interfered in anything. How stupid can America be? All right. Well, let's move on from there. You remember over there in Revelation, 13, we just read a few minutes ago about the dragon that gave him his power, that gave these others. Now, get this right here. I don't know about y'all, but I'm burning up. I don't know if it's because I'm just mad. I'm just mad at all these images and these beasts and whatever. Linda's over there covered up with a quilt. A while ago in Revelation 13, it talks about the dragon giving power, stay with me, giving power to this lion, this bear, and this leopard. When is the last time y'all been to a Chinese restaurant? And y'all have seen China. This is on one of China's flags. Matter of fact, have you ever seen a parade in China? They have people dressed up in these dragons and they're going down the streets. And you think it's possible that China gives power unto Great Britain, United States, coming to a city near you? And this has nothing to do with politics at all. It has to do with the Bible. It has nothing to do with politics at all. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. You better be on God's side. Whoever you vote for, that's between you and God. Just make sure you're on the Bible side. Because no matter who you voted for, I don't know how all this thing's going to play out, but if the next president is who they say it might be, they've got a lot of connections with China. A lot of checks are been written from China to people that live over here. The dragon gave power. Stay in your seat, don't get excited. Now, if y'all are not looking for this yet, y'all might want to start. Amen. Now, let's go back and let's look at Daniel. Verse number 9 of Daniel 7, and let's finish or try to get some more stuff in here. Verse number 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days. Now, in your Bible, ancient should be capitalized. The Ancient of Days did sit. You say, who's the Ancient of Days? You take a wild guess when I finish reading. Whose garment was white as snow, and his hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. You want to take a guess who the Ancient of Days is? That's the Lord Jesus Christ. Did you realize when these images... Now watch the connection of Daniel 7 and Revelation. Here's the 10 toes, the 10 horns of that fourth beast. Dragon gives power. And then all of a sudden the Ancient of Days shows up. And his throne... Kingdom, throne, dominion, his throne is fiery. What are you talking about? Whatever it said. The wheels of burning fire. His throne was like a fiery flame. Verse 10, a fiery stream issued and come forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were open. Can you imagine when the Lord comes, Revelation 19, a white horse, and his eyes were a flame of fire? On his head were many crowns, and he's coming with an army behind him, 10,000s and times 10,000s. And he's coming and he's fixing to take care of the little image, the dragon, that's given power and all of that. You see, I mean, his throne, the judgment was set, and the books were open. Verse 11, and I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. Now we're back to the Antichrist, the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed. Stay in your seat, don't get excited. And given to the burning flame. Look at Revelation 20. I told you we'll go back and forth, Revelation 20, and show you what this vision that Daniel, can you believe Daniel saw this 500 years before Christ was ever born? Daniel saw what we're fixing to read in Revelation 20. Look at Revelation 20 and verse number 10. And the devil that deceives them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. That's what Daniel saw in verse number 11 of chapter 7. Now verse 12 of Daniel 7. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. 13, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, languages should serve him. His dominion is everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Now, watch this. Verse 13, we've got somebody. Now look at this purple line coming down at the end of the tribulation. I'm talking about fixing to bust up. I'm talking about the stone hewed out of the mountain is fixing to come and hit this image in the feet, and the whole thing coming down. Now you'll look at 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man. That's the Lord Jesus Christ, right? Coming with clouds. You say, how do you know that? Now watch this verse. I did put this one up there for you. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That matches verse 13 of 7, Daniel 7. I saw one like the Son of Man come with clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days. Now you're thinking, okay, this is what you're thinking. Well, we got the Son of Man, and then you got the Ancient of Days. Now, a while ago, you said the Ancient of Days was the Lord Jesus Christ. Now we got the Son of Man and the Ancient of Days. Now, read it, watch this. The Son of Man came with clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before it. The Son of Man, they brought the Son of Man near the Ancient of Days, and there was given him dominion and glory. All right, you know who's up there? God the Father and God the Son. God the Father, the Ancient of Days, is going to give God the Son this kingdom. He's promised it to him from day one. When he was born, in Luke, I think it's found in Luke chapter number 1, he said, of his kingdom there shall be no end. He'll save his people from their sins. Talking about the Lord Jesus Christ. The Ancient of Days, God the Father, is going to give the Son of Man, God the Son, a kingdom, dominion, glory, and power for that 1,000 years. Let's see. Let me see if I got another. Yeah, here we go. Revelation 19. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword. With it he should smite the nations, and shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress, the fiercest of the wrath of Almighty God, Ancient of Days. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now, this is what I'm teaching the book of Revelation to a group of folks on Sunday nights, sometimes on Monday nights. And we were in, this past week we were in Revelation 14, I believe it was, talking about the Battle of Armageddon. And Revelation 14, you'll talk about the Battle of Armageddon. And the Lord comes and the Battle of Armageddon, and he fights all of these nations, the same place where David killed Goliath. In the same valley that David killed Goliath, the Lord's going to come and kill the Antichrist. And when he gets done, the fiercest of the wine, what brought me to that in Revelation 14, it talks about, this said, treadeth the winepress of the fiercest wrath of God. A wine press, they take grapes and stuff, and they press those till the juice comes out of that grape. And over in Revelation 14, it says, in the Valley of Megiddo for about 160 miles, the blood is up to the horse's bridle. That's about 4 feet deep for 160 miles. And we're looking, I know, if you've been watching the news today, everybody's down, depressed. Oh my goodness, the country's going under. But I got news for you. The country may be going under, but the church is going up. Amen. And we're praying, God, would you please straighten out all this mess? And God says, hang on. I'm going to straighten it out. Just hang on. You keep going to church. You keep praying. You keep reading your Bible. You stay faithful, and you let me worry about them. Amen. And that's what he's talking about there. Now, look at, verse number 15. Verse 15, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all of this. So he told me and made me known the interpretation of things. Now, verse number 17. Now we're going to get the interpretation of the dream. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. We've got that, right? But the saints of the Most High, high is capitalized, shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever. All right? Watch. I'm going to read that verse again. And the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever and forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse, was different from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron. His teeth were as of iron, and his nails of brass. So it appears that he may have a part. I mean, once you get over here into this tribulation, you got bits and pieces of all of this involved with that. Does that make sense? Let's see, look at verse 20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, that little horn, remember, and before whom 3 fell, even the horn that had eyes and a mouth that speak great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, I beheld the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. All right, look at Revelation 13:7. Real quick, Revelation 13:7. While you're finding Revelation 13:7, I'm going to read verse 21 again over here in Daniel 7. And I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Okay? Revelation 13, verse 7. And it was given unto him. Now we're talking about, remember, one of the horns over here. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Y'all see that? It matches perfectly with Revelation 13. So what happens is this Antichrist, there are going to be some saved people in that tribulation called the saints. It's not us. We leave out here before. But there are going to be some people that endure to the end. There are going to be some people that are what we call saints in the tribulation. And the Antichrist is fixing to make it rough on them. He's going to try to overcome them. Tread them out, this, that, and the other. You see. And now, watch what happens. I'm back in Daniel 7. We're fixing to finish it up. Verse 22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Well, there we go, right there. It's talking about the second coming and the millennial reign. Verse 23, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Can I stop and say this? You don't want to be left behind to go through that. I've heard some people say, I'm just going to take my chances. I wouldn't take any chance. I'd get saved today. Don't take your chance here. It's going to be tough. Verse 24, the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue the 3 kings. See, we're getting the interpretation of things we already know that we've already read. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until, now watch, time and times and the dividing of time. Y'all know how long that is. A time is 1. Times with an S is 2. And a half a time. 1 plus 2 is what? And a half. Y'all see that? The Bible's not hard to understand. You got time. Time is 1. Times is 2. That's 3. 3.5 years. That's how long this horn is going to wear out the saints. Verse 26, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, the cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Can you imagine Daniel, 500 years before Jesus Christ was born? He's never seen nothing like this before. No wonder he was troubled. Now, here's another proof. Here's another proof. I thank y'all for bearing with me tonight because I was trying to get all of this. There's a lot of information. Here's another proof that what I was talking about a while ago, when Daniel saw this image, it didn't trouble him at all. When he saw Babylon, Medes, Persia, Greek, he told Nebuchadnezzar the dream and went home, took 2 baby aspirins and went to bed. Didn't bother him at all. But when he saw this, he was troubled. When he saw this, he was troubled. That's another reason I don't know. I'm glad I'm on the winning side.